Okay, so first of all, what do I mean when I say a linear equation? Any guesses? Oh, come on, that's all of Algebra 1. What is a linear equation? What's the graph look like? A line. In a linear equation, your variables are all to the first power. You don't see any squares or cubes or anything like that. With us, we will do a section on lines later on. All I really want to do for this part today is make sure that you know how to manipulate an equation to solve for a variable. Okay? So everybody's good with solving equations like 3x plus 4 equals 7. You guys can solve that, no big deal. But what if I gave you an equation that only had variables in it? If I said I equals p times r times t, and I asked you to solve for t. So you're not going to get an actual number answered here. There are no numbers in this at all. But do you know how to manipulate that equation to get the thing I asked for? So what would we have to do to get the t by itself? Okay. Can you do it both at once? Absolutely. They're both multiplied. We can divide them both. Now, do we have I divided by PR, or are we going to turn that into anything else? No, it just stays. So P and the R are gone, so we have I over PR equals T. Or if you prefer, you could write T equals I divided by PR, because we know we can flip sides of the equal sign. All right. Next one. Let's throw a harder one in here. I want you to solve this for P. How many P's do I have up there to begin with? 2. So what do you think I should do with those? Get them on the same side. All right. If I wanted to move this, it's a minus P, so we would add our P over. So we have A equals PRT plus P. Can we add those things? No, why not? Right. In order to be able to add them together, you have to have the same variables. They have to be what we call like terms, same variables. These aren't, so we just leave it like that. I have to somehow get this P by itself, and I have 2 of them, but I can't add them together. We will need to divide, but not yet. We need to do something else first. The problem is, if I divide the RT right now, I would end up with a P divided by RT also. It's a trick question. What do both of these have in common? Okay. If they both have it, we can factor it out. Do you guys remember factoring? So let's pull out that P. So if I do that, when you factor it out, it's like dividing it. So this would just leave me with RT plus, what's P divided by P? 1. All right, so now I have P times something. And once I get to this multiplication point, if I want to get the P by itself, now we just divide. And I'm going to divide by all of that, RT plus 1. So my final answer, P is equal to A divided by RT plus 1. All right. I want you guys to try one. I want you to solve this for x. So get the x by itself. I saw a lot of people that started with this. What do I need to do with my 3? distribute. So that becomes a 6x minus 15a. Okay, I want all of my x's together, so what'd you do? Okay, so one person said subtract 4x, one person said subtract 6x. Does it matter? No, we're going to get there either way. So if I subtracted the 6x, and what will I need to do with this 2? So I have a negative 15a equals 4b plus 2 equals a negative 2x. And then what would I do? Divide by negative 2. So depending on where you started, your answer might look slightly different. You could have that. You might have this, or I saw a few people that had a fraction. That would also be correct. So different ways, 3 possible ways you might write that in. Any questions about how I got that?
Would you want us to leave it as 15 halves or 75 cents?
Either one is fine. In general, if it's a decimal that ends like 7.5, that's fine. Go ahead and do it. If it's 1/3 and you get 0.3 repeating, I'd rather you leave it as the 1/3. But otherwise, it doesn't matter. Let's do some more. You guys try these two. So it's okay if this is a little bit tricky because you didn't do a ton of this before. You've manipulated equations a little bit. Some of these are kind of different than any that you've solved before. D, it looked like we did fine on this one. To get t by itself, what do you have to do with your r? Divide by r. So you get t equals d divided by r. Okay. E, this one was hard. It is a lot like B that we did up here. So if I'm looking at this, I want to solve for k. That means I need to somehow combine these two k's together, but they're not like terms, so I can't do that. However, if you have two terms and they both have a k in them, what can you do? Factor it out. So if I take this k out, I'm left with r squared plus rl. So now it's k times something, so the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So k is equal to s divided by r squared plus rl. All right, one more for us to do together. I want to solve this one for y. What would you suggest we do first? Yeah, a couple different places we can start, but we might as well get rid of this parentheses. So distribute the 2. So we have 11y plus 8 equals 8y plus 10w minus 60. Now I've asked you to solve for y. So if I'm looking at this, I have a y in 2 spots and we need to combine those. So what should we do? In this class, guys, you are kind of to the point in your math career. I'm not going to harp on you for not showing all of your work. So if you don't write the minus 8y and you're able to just do that in your head, I'm okay with that. You know, if you can combine steps and you want to subtract the 8y and subtract this 8 at the same time, that's fine. You guys write down what you need to write down, okay? Now, I will say when it comes time for a test, the more work you show, if you make a mistake, the more points I can give you. But if you like to do some things in your head, I'm not going to have a fit if you didn't write down every step. What do I need to do to get the y by itself at this point? Good. So my final answer, y is 10w minus 6v minus 8 all over 3. All right. So far, so good? Let's look at this one. Okay. You don't necessarily have to write down every word here. Let's just read it first. A trapezoid has an area of 169 square inches, a height 13 inches, and a base 19 inches. Find the length of the other base by first solving this formula for b sub 1. So, this is my formula. That's what I would write down first. And I'm asking you to do two things here. I'm asking you to solve this equation for b sub 1. So get that by itself. And then we're going to plug in the variables we know and get a number. If I want to get this b sub 1 by itself, we have a couple options. We could distribute. What would be an easy way to get rid of that 1/2? Everybody seems to get panicky when they start seeing fractions. So we can divide by the 1/2 or just take both sides times 2, and that would cancel. So if I just multiply by 2 first, as long as you do it on both sides, that's a legal move. So you get 2a equals h times b sub 1 plus b sub 2. Okay, again, there's more than one way to go from here. We can either divide the h or distribute the h. Both of them can get us to the right answer. So which one do you want to do? Okay, let's divide it then. Okay. So now if I want the b sub 1 by itself, what do we do? Subtract b sub 2. Does it confuse anybody if I flip the sides of my equal sign when I write it down here? Okay. Now we can answer the other question. It told us the area was 169, so what am I going to plug that in for? Okay. My height was, and my other base was 19. All right, let's see. So 169 divided by 13 would be, you could do either way. You could take it times 2 first and then divide. So we get 26 minus 19, so 7 for my units, inches. And guys, when you're in my classroom, you're welcome to my calculator, so starting tomorrow when you come in, if you just want to grab a calculator before you sit down, that's fine. You don't have to ask permission for it. let's, okay, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna put 2 problems up. You do these 2 problems, you show them to me, and then you're done for the day.